Hi, my name is Mike Boone, and I am the Director of Adaptive Sports Iowa. Thanks to the generous support of Variety, the children's charity of Iowa, we're able to bring you this adaptive track and field instructional series. Adaptive Sports Iowa is proud to help athletes all around the state of Iowa compete in their junior high and high school teams. Our goal is that these videos will help coaches and athletes understand adaptive track and field and become confident in their equipment. If you would like more information, please visit our website, adaptivesportsiowa.org. And thank you for your time. Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make an entry-level racing glove. So this glove is going to be used for what you're going to be using on a racing wheelchair. This would be a hand protection as well as what you can use to propel yourself against the push rim. So what it is a basic plastic structure made with aquaplast pellets. On the outside we're going to attach a rubber coating. So when your hand is in there, it's going to be able to push against the push rim, and there's enough coating right here that as you go through the whole rotation, you can flick your wrist, and that way your hand is going to have full contact with the push rim, so you get the maximum power. So you need a number of different things in order to do this. Let me show you those right here. First off, you need to get some aquaplast pellets. These, everything here will be listed on our website, adaptivesportsiowa.org, as well as where to purchase them as well. But you need to have some aquaplast pellets. Those are basically just little plastic pellets that once you heat them up, they become pliable, and you can mold them into whatever you need. Okay? We're going to be using, for each glove, we're going to be using 1 cup of aquaplast pellets for each glove. You also need to have a pair of tongs. Now, mind you, whatever tongs you're going to use, you're going to destroy. So make sure you get some cheap ones at a dollar store. Same with the pot that we'll get to in a second. Have a pair of scissors available. Have a Sharpie that will be able to be seen on the black rubberized surface. I like to use some moleskin on the inside of the glove to help kind of protect with skin irritation issues. You need to have some electrical tape, and then cut about 20 or 30 7 to 8 inch long strips like we have along the side of the table down here. This is what's going to hold on the rubberized coating once we have it onto the glove itself. You need to have some super glue, and we will likely use the majority of this bottle, so it's good to have a small bottle ready to go that's unopened. You also need to have a piece of rubber that you'll be able to cut that will make the outside of the glove. Additionally, it's nice to have a towel ready to go because you're going to be using some water. I've got a bucket of ice water ready to go, and then as well, you've also got the pot of water. I've got this pot here filled up about a little less than halfway. So for the aquaplast pellets to work, the water needs to be at least 160 degrees. I like to just put it up to boiling. So what's going to happen is we're going to take these pellets, we're going to dump it into the water. The pellets are going to turn from white to translucent or clear, and once they turn clear, that means they're basically ready to be pliable. One point of caution, obviously we're dealing with some very hot water, so which is why we have the tongs, but as soon as we pull this stuff out, it's going to be boiling hot. So we need to make sure we cool it down before we actually start handling it, which is what the tongs are for. Okay? So with that, we're going to go into it. We have our friend David here from Ohio, who's going to be our guinea pig on showing you how to make the gloves. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do it in a 2-person way, but once you view the video, this should be something you could do independently if you don't have someone else to help. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cup worth of aquaplast pellets and just drop them into the water here. They're going to stick together and turn translucent, and once that happens, we'll be able to start the first process. So what I'm going to do is you should be able to make 1 full glove with 1 cup worth of aquaplast pellets. So I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to actually kind of eyeball it and divide it in half. 1 half will go back in the pot to keep it ready to go. The other half will be the interior part of the glove that I'll show you here in a second. So, all right, it's nice and clear here. So you can see now it's not white, it's clear now. So watch that, the water drips a little bit, so make sure again it's hot water. So I'm going to immediately pull this out and and pull it and put it into the ice water to cool off, just enough to make it something I can handle, and you gotta kind of pry it off of the tongs here. Okay, and put the tongs off to the side. Kind of squeeze it out, get some of that hot water out of there, and I'm just going to divide this in half. Okay, 2 equal sized portions. One goes back in. Okay, now it cools down pretty quick, so you're going to have to move at a decent pace here. So this part's going to be the interior part of the glove. So I'm going to put it inside, and this is going to be the part of the glove that's going to take most of the force. So you want to make sure it's enough that you can grip. So you want to make the indentations for the fingers, and enough that you have a little bit on the outside as here, okay? All right, go ahead and let go of it. Make sure your hands aren't sticky. Okay, leave it on. Okay, put it back on. I'm going to grab the other portion now. Okay. So for this one, we need to make it flat because it's going to lay on this side or the inside of the glove and attach to both sides. So I'm going to kind of pancake it out, so to speak. And you can see how clear it is now, which is it's pretty cool stuff to work with. All right, so now I'm going to take this and leave your thumb there. I'm going to take this and lay it over the top of it. Okay. Now you want to make sure this is a flat surface because this is what you're going to glue the rubber to. Okay. Okay. Now take your glove and just dip it right in.
That's what it looks on the other
Yep.
side.
Go ahead and dip it in. Let's get it nice and cool. Okay, bring it back out. Now I need you to release your fingers just to make sure you're not sticking to it. So that's kind of the pattern there. Okay, put your hand back in there. All right, and just leave it in there. And we need to wait until it gets kind of a little bit warmer. That way it will hold its structure. So while he's doing that, is it uncomfortable?
No.
Okay. So this is going to take just a few minutes here.
Basic ice bucket challenge.
Yes. Okay, lift up. Okay, pull your hands out again. Make sure they're not sticking. It's good to always release and hold on again, just kind of gripping it. That way your fingers don't get stuck in there. Okay, because it is a little tacky if you just leave it on there. So you can see it's starting to cool down and harden up. Let's do. Okay, drop it back. Drop your hand back in. Okay, and you're not applying any pressure. You're basically just holding that because what you don't want to squeeze because that will push. You'll lose the area to actually hold on to. All right, let's pull it back out and check it again. Okay, let go. All right, so at this point, I feel pretty confident it's going to hold its structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop this in here and I'm going to wait for it to fully dry and fully cool down. So at this stage, what I would do is now that first glove is made, I would go ahead and start the second glove being made, which we don't need to do today. It's nice to have both those gloves done at the same time because then you can kind of make sure that they are they're as close to equal as you can make them. The nice thing about these gloves is if you're not happy with how this looks, as long as you haven't attached anything else to it, you can drop it back in here and start over. That's the really nice thing about this. So you don't need, it's not like a one try and then you're over. If you're not happy with how this looks or you feel like there's portions of it that might be a little bit too weak, you can drop it back in here and just start over again. So the thing is, once you attach any glue to this, it's set like this. Okay, now the glove is cooled off. Nice and hard. Kind of give it a once over, make sure there's no cracks and it's not separated anywhere, and it looks really solid. So I think we got a good start here. Okay. All right. So before we do anything, we need to go ahead and dry this off because we're going to be attaching glue to it and cutting the rubber to make the pushing surface. Go ahead and get this out of our way. All right, so I've got a sheet of rubber here. So I need to cut out a portion that matches the size of the glove here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's what we're going to need the silver marker for because silver is going to show up on black very well. So take a portion here You don't want to do it right in the center because then you're obviously waste the whole thing. So try to be diligent about where you do this. Make sure you set it in a place where you've got enough area so that as you roll it to size it up, it's always on the surface here, okay? So I've got a portion here. And what I want is I'm going to want it to start just on the corner here and kind of run the whole length and end down here. And I'm going to cut out a portion that's going to be bigger than what I need, and then I can kind of trim it down to make it fit for what we need. So we're going to start here and just kind of run along the side. Same with the back side. Perfect. Okay, so that's probably a good indication of what we need here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. You can just cut this with just a normal pair of scissors. So put that off to the side. So now I'm just going to basically trim down to that edge that we've made. Now keep in mind that this is going to be the underside of the surface. So that's going to be the surface eventually. So as you're cutting this out, remember kind of the position that you had these gloves in, which I think was like, yeah, it was like that. So it's probably actually would be a good idea to mark this, so that way you always have the same direction. So I'm just going to put a little dot right here on the top of the glove, and then I'm going to put a dot right here as well. That way I know that as I line those up, that's the way it fits on there. Okay, side. Okay, size it up again to see how we're sitting. All right, so I know I've got a little bit too much on this side. So I'm gonna back off of this probably about maybe a couple centimeters, just a little bit. Perfect. Okay, let's do another assessment here. Yeah, this looks, yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, now the fun part. So we need to adhere the rubber outside to the actual glove. So this is where it's really, really important to be extremely careful, because as you put the super glue on the side of the glove that you're going to be adhering to the glove, at the side of the rubber that you're going to be adhering to the glove, it's important that you do not get any of that on the actual surface that will be touching the pushroom, because this stuff, when it glues, it essentially becomes plastic. And if you've got streaks or little drops of plastic that are on the outside of this glove, it essentially makes it unusable, because now you lose the tackiness against the push rim. So be very, very careful as you put it on. Sometimes for the people that are new at doing this, it's nice to put like painter's tape or something on here, just in case that happens. So that way you've got an extra layer. I trust myself enough today that I'll go ahead and do that without it. Okay. So when you get this attached, when you put the rubber on here, or sorry, when you put the glue on here, you don't want to like be very, very light with it. You need every speck of surface on here to be covered with the glue, because it's all going to be adhered to the outside of the glove. Just a quick reminder, once we get this on here, we're going to be using these strips of electrical tape to hold it on. So it's good to have those ready to go, because this stuff dries very quick. So you want to be very, very quick about putting it on here and adhering it to there. Okay? So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get this done. So I like to just cover the whole thing without getting any on the outside or any on the edges. Spread it around. And really get up to those edges, because you want it, because you don't want to, especially in the areas where the glove's kind of curved, you don't want to get any of that stuff to start peeling up. You want it to sit very, very firmly on those gloves. So I feel good about this. Okay, now the fun part. So we're going to go ahead and pick this up without getting any on the outside of the glove here, and just kind of holding it on. And it's a little slick because it's still wet. And grabbing some of the electrical tape, and now we're just going to. Oh, we're good. Just start working around the outside of it, getting those edges down. Now, you get a good look and make sure you're where you need to be. There we go. And be really tight when you're pulling those down, because you want to make sure that there's no edges that are going to be pulling up. And basically at this point, once you've got it firmly on there, just start working around and getting all those edges down. So you can see right here, there's still a lot of overhang. So we need to make sure we get that down firmly. So when you're ready to pull this off, I always have a pair of scissors ready to go, because it's hard to pull these off individually. So you can just use a pair of scissors, or carefully use a knife and cut these off when you're ready to do it. But it needs to be on there for a good 5 or 10 minutes to let the glue cure. So you can see I'm going all around the edges. There's not really a portion where the outside edge is exposed. You want it all gripped down on the outside of this glove. Yep, see, I still a little bit right there. Good. One last section and one piece of tape left. We've worked that out pretty well. So you can see how tight I'm doing this on here. You really, really want to clamp this thing down and let it really adhere to the outside of that. All right. So it's all wrapped up. We're going to just put that off to the side and let it cure and dry up. So we've left enough time now for the glue to cure. So we're going to go ahead and pull off the electrical tape and get a good assessment of exactly what our glove looks like here. So just kind of trim around the outside, and the plastic here is not gonna break. So you don't need to worry about being too careful with this kind of stuff. You're not going to cut through it. Just obviously be mindful of the outside rubberized portion. Okay. Just kind of work it around. Well, the glue's working. I can smell it. At this point, you should be able to see a little bit of glue sticking around the outside, so it's good just to make sure it's not still wet. which right now it looks pretty dry. So, but don't pull it off. Make sure you kind of hold it down, just in case some of that interior part is not fully dry yet. There you go. Okay, it's all off. Give it a good once over. Make sure it's firmly adhered along the edges, which it looks like it is. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so all along the edges, you want to make sure that it's not peeling up anywhere. It's nice and firm along there. If you see any areas where it is, which it looks like we've got one little portion right there, you can always come back later and just kind of stick some, squeeze some glue in there and just this one section, tape that back down. Again, just being very, very mindful that you don't want to get any of this glue on the actual outside surface. That way you don't lose the tackiness. But overall, this looks like a pretty solid entry-level glove. So let's go ahead and test it out again. So, and at this point, now that it's nice and dry and hardened, you can go ahead and make sure, you want to make sure that all the hands have good protection. And keep in mind on where the skin is actually making contact with the gloves, because we'll actually come in later with the moleskin and put a little bit of stuff in there. That way, it's easier on the skin. You don't want to cause any skin issues. Okay, let go. How'd it feel?
Good.
So yeah. So once this is on, you can take portions of the moleskin, depending on if there's any rough points in the inside or any edges. And just like my example that I have here, you can see I ran some moleskin along the inside. So anywhere where my knuckles would be kind of squeezed against, or anyone that's going to have any kind of pressure, I kind of ease that up. So you can see how that's in there and kind of worked in. But yeah, that's a good entry-level glove. So remember, for a list of all the resources we have here and where to actually purchase some of the stuff is all found on our website, adaptivesportsiowa.org.